Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hi, and welcome to Pathways. Our show is dedicated to global spiritual awakening. My name is John Zsurka. I'll be your host today. And I have some wonderful guests here with me today. I'd like to introduce to you Sarva-drk, who has been an International Society for Krishna Consciousness devotee for 38 years. He is a disciple of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder, Acharya of the ISKCON movement here in the United States and over the world. You've been his devotee now since 1973, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes. And you live in Prabhupada Village, what's called Prabhupada Village, named after Swami Prabhupada, which is in Sandy Ridge, North Carolina.
Yes.
It's a farm community, yes?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And you've traveled and still traveled extensively, preaching and teaching Krishna consciousness from the Bhagavad Gita and from the Vedas, Vedanta, yes? Mm-hmm. And also you grow organic vegetables and fruits in your spare time.
Yes, I do.
Well, where do you find the time to do it all?
Well, not too much. They're sort of self-sufficient.
Yeah, very good, very good.
Well, we're here in the summertime, so we get that done.
Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it was my pleasure. So happy to be here with you.
Thank you. And I'd like to also introduce Thakor Topiwala, born and raised in a Hindu family in India. Welcome to the United States.
My pleasure.
But you've been here for 40 years now, right?
That's
in the
right.
USA?
Yes.
Yeah. You're actively working in interfaith activities.
Yes.
And that's serving Srila Prabhupada, the same spiritual master, in his mission to spread this Krishna
It's been a
consciousness.
pleasure to serve him in all these years.
Yes, very good. Thank you for being here.
It's been
Thank
my
you both
pleasure,
for being
yes.
here. Our topic of discussion today is reincarnation. And I think every religious text there's this question of, what happens when you die? What happens to the soul? Does it transmigrate from body to body? Does it go to different planets? Do you go to heaven? Do you go to hell? So we want to visit this today and talk in depth with both of you about reincarnation. So what do you mean by reincarnation? What does that mean, in the Bhagavad Gita and in the Vedantas that you've studied?
Reincarnation means that when we die, of course, Bhagavad Gita says, "Nahanyate hanyamane sharire." For the soul, there's neither birth nor death. Nor having one spin do we ever cease to be. The soul is an eternal principle that's going from one body to another. Like we drove here in a Honda Civic, but I don't think I am a Honda Civic. And if my car breaks down, I have to get into another car to continue my journey. So this lifetime that we describe as me is a vehicle for the soul.
So you're saying that the soul is eternal.
Exactly.
It always has been and always will be? That's kind of like God, isn't it?
Well, we're part and parcel of God. We're not God. God is the supreme controller, and I can decide what I'm going to eat for lunch, maybe. But I'm not creating universes. That's God's jurisdiction.
See, unfortunately, Mr. John, what has happened, that in modern age, because of the technological advancement, people are made to believe that there is no soul. This material body is made up of only bloods and bones and once you are die, nothing is there. So that is what is concerned about, that people has to understand that there is a body, spiritual body and material body. And that's where the whole philosophy is based on. When Srila Prabhupada was talking about that, repeatedly, thousands of times, he repeatedly says, you are not the body.
Well, having said that, then who is it that actually reincarnates?
Right. So that is the questions. Even the Christians, when they any religion, when they say you are going to heaven, who is going to heaven?
Yeah.
But he is still there. So it doesn't make any philosophical understanding either.
Yeah,
So who is it that reincarnates?
Who is
your
that
description of that?
reincarnating?
Sarva-drk?
It's a soul. We call it the Atma. It's that self that we are.
The Atma is the name for the soul?
It's a name for the soul.
I see.
Exactly.
And that's what reincarnates. How does that happen? What would that be like for, let's say, for you or for me?
Hell is you can say we have a gross material body composed of blood and flesh and bones and hair and skin and internal organs. And we have a subtle body, like when we're dreaming. I may be dreaming I'm being chased by a tiger and I'm thrashing in my bed, no, no, no. But if someone looks at the situation, he's asleep, he's having a bad dream. But I'm experiencing that suffering in my mind, in my subtle body. But above the subtle body is the soul proper, that which gives life to this body. We call death, we define death by when the soul leaves the body. Now, I used to work in an emergency room in a manual hospital in Portland, Oregon. And some people would come into the emergency room practically dead. 1 minute they're there, they're suffering, and the next minute it's a lump of flesh, because the soul is left. So hell means when in answer to your question, means when that person who's committed significant sinful activities in his life is sent to a place of reformation in his subtle body. Because that suffering takes place in our subtle body. The body's here. You know, if Mr. Jones has gone to hell, Mr. Jones' body is here. And if he's in hell, how is he in hell? Once you ask these questions.
So he can go to another planet, the soul can go to another planet, but what about reincarnation into another body? Does the soul reincarnate to another body?
Well, as Voltaire said one time, famous French philosopher, he posed this question: is it any more wonderful to be born twice than once? Isn't it an amazing thing we're born once?
Yes.
So why not twice? Mm-hmm. And Krishna gives the evidence in Bhagavad Gita. It says, Komaram jovanam jara, tata dehantara praptir, dhiras tatra namuyati. Which means the soul is passing, komaram jovanam jara, from youth to old age to death. In this lifetime, I remember when I was 4 years old, eating candy and giving trouble to my parents, and I remember being in grade school. I remember being in high school, in college. I remember getting married. I remember working. I'm aware of my life right now. I'm aware that I'm sitting here. The same person that's sitting here in the studio was sitting in my mother's lap at 4 years old. I'm the same person. Where is the 4-year-old body? I've experienced reincarnation in this lifetime. Why is it difficult to understand that the same thing occurs after the death of this particular vehicle or body?
So when the soul leaves in this reincarnation, after the soul leaves the body, does it reincarnate into another human being, or does it reincarnate into, can it reincarnate into an animal, besides just going maybe to a hellish place or, you know, a different planet where we have different experiences? I mean, can we also migrate to different life forms?
You want to answer that, Thakor?
Yeah, there is a one verse in the Bhagavad Gita. It says, Yam yam vyapi smaran bhave. Whatever the state of mind, you know, in their consciousness, they carry for the next life, you know, and that is where the theory of karma ties up, you know. So it is the state of mind, and that's why the Krishna consciousness philosophy is kind of advocating us, educating us. So lifelong you practice that. You know, it doesn't come all of a sudden, but if you practice lifelong, then there is a more likely you can remember the God. And that's why, you know, Sarva-drk Prabhu has also dedicated his life, so he, with the hope that he will be also remembering the life. So it is tied with the mind, you know, how you carry it from one body to another body.
So you're saying it's the mind or the consciousness at the time of death that determines your next body.
Yes.
But can that body be an animal?
Yes, if an individual soul is too much attached to, even Prabhupada was giving an example, you know, if you are attached with some kind of furniture too much, you know, so you may come as a cockroach into the sometimes, you know. So Prabhupada has given so many different examples how. So actually when we talk about the Bhagavad Gita, it's a science of the soul, you know. He explained, you know, he explained higher than the body is the mind, higher than the mind is intellect, and higher than the intellect is a spirit soul. So if there is no spirit soul within the body, there is no value to your intellect, or there is no mind, or no, and we see that it's happening to every day in a people's life, you know, because they leave the body, and there is most intellectual people or most highly qualified people, where are they now? What has happened to them? So it's a source of energy within the body is a spirit soul. That is what the Krishna is described in the Bhagavad Gita also. So many other religions also based on that theory anyhow. That's what my understanding. Yeah.
So if it's your consciousness that determines what your next body will be, why couldn't you just think of what you like at the time of death to determine, you know, what you want to be, where you want to go, another human birth or whatever it is? Couldn't you just think of what you wanted at that time?
Well, that's how it actually works, is our desires.
Yes.
A state of consciousness is manifest in our desires. For example, if someone likes their steak really rare, with the blood dripping out of it, they can take birth as a tiger to fulfill their desire to eat raw, red flesh. Why not? Man proposes and God disposes. This is what you want, so have it. And if we want a life of spirituality, we can have that. If we want a life of sensuality, we can have that. Why not?